Hello, horror fans. It's me, Cass,
Kylee.
and we are the Horrorcraft podcast. How you guys doing? So we are
Hi,
back.
everybody.
Yeah, we're in our pajamas.
Yes.
Kylie came up with the theme. Kylie's in her boss lady era, so we love it. Um,
Top of my collar.
you gotta, yeah, we're both. We didn't match. We didn't try to match. I swear, but we both have collared pajamas. This just tells our we finish each other's sandwiches. So, um, but we're super excited. This episode that we are doing is about a movie that I don't think a lot of people think is a horror movie. It is one that kind of blends different genres. We're going to get into it. I was super excited to share this with Kylie because this is one of my personal favorites. I knew that she would probably really like it and dig it. But I'm going to put a massive trigger warning in effect because this movie does talk about suicide, uh, death of a child, assault, um, child abuse and neglect. There's a lot of heavy topics. So if you don't feel like you could do a heavy movie, heavy deep dive right now, totally understand. Go check one of the lighter ones in our catalog, and we'll see you the following week. But we are going to talk about In Dreams. Before we do, though, we do need to do a little bit of housekeeping. If you have not seen our Instagram, our and on our social media, Mary, our other co-host, was taking a medical leave. She has since decided that she is not coming back. So we are so appreciative for the time that we had for her, for the laughs, everything we built together. Um, and wish her the well. Wish her the well. I sound like oh my gosh, what's the character from Home? Boov. Can I come in the out now? Yeah.
Can I come in the
Um,
out now?
yeah, I always say that, but we wish her well. We hope that her health, continues to improve, and we will always, have a fond look back on this time together and what we built. We will be sharing it here in the future. Mary has a short story that is coming out in a book of other short stories that just so happens to have our friend Kylee has one of the stories in there as well. And we are super excited to see her in that endeavor. So we wish her the best, and we hope that her health continues to improve. So starting from this episode on, you will see our logo will change to just Kylie and I. And this is the last time that we will be, probably the last time. Maybe there might be one more time more where we'll be using the intro that has all three of us. So, in the vein of that, we're going to go ahead and pour one out in true horrorcraft fashion and cue the music possibly one last time. I just say that the legal assistant in me is like, just in case there's one more time. But we're going to go ahead and pour one out for Mary. So, Mary, this one's for you.
Welcome to the Horrorcraft podcast.
And we are back. Once again, thank you, TIKI, for doing our intro. This episode will actually be coming out tomorrow. Um, Kylie and I are doing something new where we're trying out a new, we're messing around with things. So if you see us kind of messing around with the formula, messing around with the paint a little, doing some things, we're just doing some home.
Things.
Yeah, we're doing some home renovations. You know, we're fixing the walls and shit. So,
Yes.
but if you are listening to this on the weekend of the 25th through the 27th, I will be at Erie Culture Fest 26th and 27th with TIKI, Rick, and Brewster, running around doing shenanigans, helping out our dear friend, Mr. Zach, putting together his awesome, amazing brainchild and getting to do some absolutely cool fucking shit. So if you're in the Cleveland area and you want something to do, come check us out. It's at Westlake. It's at, I think, the Wyndham Garden Hotel. And it's going to be a blast. Also, check out our social medias, both Talking Tapes and Horrorcraft, because I will be trying to post some stuff from there as well. And trying to do a recap on next week's episode. I might even try to just do like a little thing for social media and talk about the stuff that's there. We'll see what happens. But super excited. Love those guys. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm just super, super excited. So Marguerite, who plays Jessie and Queen of the Damned, is going to be there. And anyone who knows me knows that that's like a movie that's near and dear to my heart. So I'm like,
we know, Cass. We know.
Yeah, girl. I still have.
I can't even say anything because same.
Yeah, and girl, I still have my original Snap cover DVD from the early 2000s of that I have literally like somehow it's like, well, shout out to Elizabeth, my mother, because she's the one that like preserved it and then gave it to me. But it's the original one that I bought with like my own like lawnmower, like mowing the lawn money. And so I'm like, if I
you mowed grass for that? That's fucking great.
Oh, all the time. So super in flip-flops by the way. So anybody who lived in Sandusky, Ohio saw this little plus size teenager mowing the grass in flip-flops with like,
you realize you could have became your own horror story, right?
I know. I think about that often. I also think about that now being in the tanning booth at Planet Fitness. Like I do have it open just a little bit, like the hybrid tanning booth, just so like if I needed to like dart out, I could. But that way I can also like
that one time I went tanning and like the bed was super it was super heavy. Like I took 2 hands to lift it. I'm like, oh God, here we go. And when I got out,
that's why you gotta do the stand up one. That's why you gotta do the stand up one, because I could literally I have a little area open, and if I have to Spartan kick that shit open, I'm just gonna power walk my way through. So but no, I have thought about that, especially with the new Final Destination, and it does have like the thing with the lawnmower in it. I'm like,
oh my gosh, yes.
That could have been me. That could have been me, Kylie. So but no, I'm super excited. I will probably die inside a little if I do get to meet her. And it'll be great. So this year we're doing the big exciting things. So my year was already made by Felissa Rose and Michael Berryman. So I got to see Bill Perry. I'm cool. And we'll get to see Bill Perry in the fall. So I'm super happy. Bill's kind of become that crazy uncle in the Horrorcraft family. Let's go see Uncle Bill, take him out to dinner, listen to, the times that he did the stunt work back in the pictures, that kind of thing. So we love you, Bill. But yeah, it's going to be so much fun. So please go out and watch it. Come out and see us. Watch the video if there's going to be a video on Talking Tapes. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm excited, but I'm also excited because Kylie and I are in our pajamas, and we're in our pajamas to talk about the banger that is In Dreams. So if you've never seen In Dreams is a movie that is on Pluto TV. Very quickly synopsizing it. It's got Annette Bening, and she plays a woman named Claire that is always had these kind of dreams that end up coming true in one way or another. Kind of doesn't know really what to think of it. You kind of get the sense from her relationship with her husband that this is sort of a point of contention. But she's seeing things, and she's seeing a little girl being hurt. And it turns out that she's actually seeing a real girl that actually did get killed. And somehow she is connected to this person. And then, unfortunately, spoiler alert, if go over this part if you have not watched the movie and you want to save that part. But her daughter ends up going missing and turns up dead as well. And so she uh, definitely experiences some a mental health crisis because of that. Understandably, because she lost her child, and she realizes that she is definitely tied to whoever is doing this, and kind of goes out of her way to make sure that she is that there's another girl that gets taken, and she kind of pretty much is like, hey, she just does a boss move and really goes after this person. And it is such a beautiful movie, has great performances by Robert Downey Jr., Annette Bening, Stephen Ray, Patrick Guilfoyle, I think it is. We'll talk about that in a minute. But there's just a lot of people that have been in a lot of horror related things, a lot of bangers. Aidan Quinn, who plays the husband, was in Practical Magic.
Yes.
And he's just been in a lot of things as well. So this is a great movie. But this movie is also the reason why I wanted Kylie to watch this is because I think this does a really good job at taking something horrifying, taking the horror in something and crossing so many different genres. Because a lot of people look at this movie that is straight thriller, but it is a horror movie.
It is.
It is truly, like, if Silence of the Lambs is a horror movie, this is a horror movie too, because it's got a lot of the same elements. It's got some truly horrifying things that happen.
Oh yeah.
You know, the cop procedural part of it is also very interesting. The whole supernatural element of her being tied to him. The kind of very
there's something about true crime and horror mixed with paranormal that I love it.
Yeah, and it's eerie because in the beginning you find out that there is a town that was purposely flooded to that was purposely flooded in order to like to make way for a dam. And
I looked that up because I was just curious of how often does that happen, and it happens. It's happened not a whole lot, but there's a town in, let's see, and from my research, the Toledo Bend Reservoir.
Oh yeah,
that was one. Submerged several towns to create a reservoir. One in Enfield, the towns of Dana, Enfield, Greenwich, and Prescott in Massachusetts were submerged to create this reservoir, which provides drinking water for Boston areas. A couple other places, one in New York. So it's not like a completely uncommon thing, but it's just wild to think. My hometown has a reservoir, and I even looked like, was that like a housing development before they did?
Was there a town down there?
Is there a town here? But no,
the crazy part about that is when you're first watching the beginning of this movie, you think like, holy shit, why are they in a town underwater? And then when you realize that is because of that, like, that's crazy. It does truly make you think of, like, I've talked about it before, but something that I do kind of hyperfixate and watch sometimes is some urban explorers that go out and do like the abandoned things. abandoned stuff, the things that get abandoned and stay truly abandoned for a long period of time is wild. Like
I
theme
was
park.
actually just watching one earlier on Facebook. They went to Epstein's Island.
Oh,
Yes. And everything is still there. Like the mansion, just it's all still there.
oh my gosh. Yeah, I am just like,
And actually, in the beginning of In Dreams, wasn't the town called Enfield?
yeah,
That's in my thing I looked up about towns that had been submerged to create a reservoir. I'm gonna have to fact check that. I don't like always fact checking that, but like that's kind of cool. Yeah, Enfield, Massachusetts.
did you? So I don't know if you, because obviously we live in the same state, but I don't know if you'd ever been to Geauga Lake before.
Yeah.
That's in Cuyahoga, but that was like a theme park that was pretty popular in the Cleveland area. Um, and Cedar Point, Cedar Fair owned it. It decided in 2007 to shut it down. That sat abandoned. They sold off parts of it, but that sat abandoned for years. And up until I think probably about 2 or 3 years ago, there were still parts of it that were there, like the front gates and different things like that. Like I've watched videos about it right now in Sandusky, which is my hometown. There is a place called oh my gosh, it is a resort. It was actually on at Maui Sands. That's what it was. And it was on Hotel Impossible. If you've ever seen the episode, it was wild because they had bed bug problems. They actually brought dogs in that would sniff the bed bugs, and it was in like the claw machines even and everything. And they took it across the employees, and like half the employees had bed bugs on them at that point in time. But like they had safety issues. They had people who got hurt because of like unsafe things in the water park, like chlorine issues, people getting burned by chlorine, different things. So it's a wild. I think that episode's
Sounds
still
like
out
a
there.
resort from hell.
Yeah, it was, and it's an indoor, water park because Sandusky is where Cedar Point is, and you have Kalahari, you have Great Wolf Lodge,
Yeah.
you have the Cedar Point water park. Like there's a lot of water parks, including Cedar Point has one on the other side of it that it was the old oh my gosh, I forget what it is, but anyways, now it's like Cedar Shores or something. But anyways, so they ended up going bankrupt again. The building set, it got bought by another person. During COVID, it really got abandoned, and there was a challenge where people were breaking in and showing videos from inside of it. But they haven't, like, supposedly it's supposed to get tore down, but it's just like, and it's literally, it's on 250, the main road going in Sandusky, like big tourist road, and it just sits there. And so, but the vibes in this one kind of reminds me of the town in PA, Centralia. I don't know if you've ever heard about that. That has like 5 people. It's a town that supposedly Silent Hill was based off of, but it's the one that has a like active burning coal mine underneath it where it's like unsafe for them to be around. And so it's sat abandoned for years. So yes, Centralia, Pennsylvania is a borough and near ghost town in Columbia County, Pennsylvania, United States. It is part of northeastern Pennsylvania. Its population declined from 1,000 in 1980 to 5 residents in 2020 because a coal mine fire has been burning beneath the borough since 1962.
Oh my god.
And there are people that do videos where they actually go and like, but it looks like the town from Silent Hill. So, that in itself, starting out the movie that way is wild. But then you see all the imagery behind it. Um, that's why movies I think like this are important, because I would say the same thing for like obviously Silence of the Lambs gets its flowers as it should. Manhunter was before Silence of the Lambs, and that was kind of introduced us to Hannibal Lecter. But like Kiss the Girls was another
Yeah.
big one that I think is kind of horror thriller leaning. But you do kind of see these intersections of how like people don't think about it as horror, but it is horror because truly
Yeah.
it's the worst kind of horror. It's the realist kind.
Yeah. I'll argue till the end, like forever, that real life horror things that happen, like your child being kidnapped and murdered, that's real life horror. That's real shit.
Yeah.
And that is sometimes more terrifying than to me than a slasher.
Yeah, no, it truly is. And I think another like big thing about it too is you got to think of, so like in relation, Eli Roth has the sacrament, and the certain things have been changed about the sacrament, but for all intents and purposes, the sacrament is a pretty fair depiction of the Jonestown massacre.
Oh yeah.
And the reason why movies like that are important is because the sacrament and something like this in dreams um kind of toe aligned with showing the darkest parts of things without really objectifying it. And I think that's important because without it, we kind of try to forget that those things happen. And if we keep
Yeah.
forgetting about those things happening, they're going to keep happening. And so I think it's important. And this is also a very important movie, I think, talking about trauma and the
Yeah.
way that trauma can kind of impact and turn into a line. How somebody's trauma can turn them into somebody that they might not necessarily have been without that. And we kind of seen that for both sides, whether it's Claire or it's Vivian. And we kind of see the way that people act around them. And I think it's a very deep character study. So, going into the cast of this, you guys aren't ready for this
Great,
because this is
great
some big
cast. Great cast.
bangers. Yeah,
Bangers.
even you, Kylie, I don't think you're prepared for as many movies as these people are connected to. So,
I'm
Annette
interested in
Bening,
hearing on Aiden Quinn. I mean, of course, we know like him from Practical Magic, and Annette Bening. She's been in a lot of stuff, and I can't think of like any horror off the top of my head. And then you've got
so
Robert Downey Jr.
yeah, so Annette Bening hasn't really done a ton of horror. Um, I love her because she's in Open Range, which was one of the first like horror, first R-rated movies I watched in the theaters with my dad and my uncle. Annette Bening is in Mars Attacks, though.
Yes, she is. Oh my God. Yeah, she plays Jack Nicholson's wife, who's like the super spiritual. She's like like recovering alcoholic, and
Mm.
he's drink. Yes, yes. We coming.
If you are, if you are uh, a PBS kid like I was, Annette Bening also did one of the voices in Sagwa, the Siamese cat. If you ever saw that, that was the bougie cat from the Chinese dynasty. Loved that show growing up. Big Arthur fan. We poured out for Arthur in this household. Robert Downey Jr., although we might know him as Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. not only was in this and later becomes Tony Stark, but he also was in Gothica with Halle Berry,
Interesting time. I've
which
never seen Gothica. And I don't know why.
it's amazing. He was
Did you
also in.
know? Robert Downey Jr., when he was cast in this film, is when after he was dealing with all his court stuff and drug addiction, things like that. And the director wanted to give him a chance because he felt, people with substance abuse issues, the best thing you could do is have them working and keeping them busy. But while he was clean when he was hired, he relapsed.
Yeah.
And lit his world back on fire.
It's crazy though, because we all know him as a different person though, because he gets to Iron Man, and then he's the one who basically kind of shoulders a lot of the Marvel franchise, because he kind of started that. I can't really say, okay, listen, Robert Downey Jr., I do agree.
He did kind of give the Marvel franchise, how do I want to say this? He made it. He sucked it. He is what got people into Marvel. Honestly.
Well, I think a lot of it though too is Tony Stark is a huge character in the Marvel movies, and having somebody who is a backbone like that is huge, because now honestly we kind of see them doing that with the new Marvel movies where they're bringing in the Fantastic Four. I think personally myself, I think Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic is going to be the backbone. I might be biased because
I mean, I may be a little biased too. I may be on the Pedro Pascal train. It took me a while, but
he's a man. Okay, he's a man. A man. But Robert Downey Jr. also, funny enough, he does voice Patrick Pewterschmidt in one episode of Family Guy. He also, though, was in the Zodiac Killer movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've seen that, but yes, he was.
And then he obviously goes on to play a actiony, a little bit more dark version of Sherlock Holmes. Which you
I loved him in Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, loved him too. So Mr. Aidan Quinn, who played Paul, Claire's husband, he was in Practical Magic. He also most recently did a fantastic run at Law and Order SVU as Benson's. So those of you who maybe not watched Law and Order for a while, Benson in the beginning alludes to the fact that her mom, who was a professor, had a student that was older than Detective Benson at the time, and she had an affair with him, and they fell in love. Aidan Quinn then plays that character as Benson is now grown up, and there are a couple episodes that kind of explore the lines of was it consensual? Was it not consensual? Was it grooming? Was it not grooming? And it's great acting on both parts.
Wasn't he in Sex and the City? I could be wrong.
He was for an episode. He also was in Legends of the Fall with Brad Pitt.
Yes. Oh my God.
He also.
That's a good movie.
It is a very good movie, and he was a mainstay for a long period of time. He was also in one of my favorite guilty pleasure movies, which doesn't get a lot of love and recognition, but Jonah Hex with Megan Fox and, oh my gosh, trying to think of the other person. We'll look that up for a minute.
What movie is it called?
Jonah Hex. It's got Josh Brolin and Megan Fox in it.
Oh yeah, I've never seen that.
Oh, I love it. I know people didn't like it. I love it.
Yeah,
I'm a little out there, so it's okay. So where we start to really get into some shit though is when we get into some of these supporting characters, because Paul Guilfoyle, who played Detective Jack Kay, which is arguably one of my favorite characters in this movie, and I think is highly underutilized. Paul,
I liked him too.
he just
was
believed
open. He believed Claire.
he believed her, even though he didn't understand it. He was never
Yeah.
condescending to her. He never I loved that.
Me too.
But Paul Guilfoy's been in some shit. First of all, Air Force One, he was in with Harrison Ford. So already we're like starting off to a good beat of the drum. However, his horror resume is impressive. He was in Pandemic, which was a movie that came out in 2016. He was also in 2 episodes of the CBS show Evil. He was in Session 9, which is fantastic.
He was. I haven't
Yes.
finished that one.
Yeah.
He was.
He was. So, he's done a lot of different shows. He's been in Law and Order at some point. I mean, he's done a lot of like cop procedural stuff. He's just got a very impressive, like, you could spend 12 years on his alone. So then we really start to get into things then when the psychiatrist who interprets her dreams, aka locks her up, that is played by Stephen Ray, who, that name does not sound familiar to you, it should, because he was in Interview with the Vampire. He is most notoriously the vampire, and we're talking about the Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise one, but most notoriously, he is the vampire that goes toe to toe with Brad Pitt with the scythe as the theater.
Is him. That
yes.
is him.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but even more impressively is the fact that once he did that movie, I mean, this man continues to do. He is in V for Vendetta. I mean, just his. If you ever get a chance to go through and watch all these movies, you would realize he's been through some shit, because he was in Underworld Awakening, which is great. Yes. We hate his character in that. He was also in a lot of like smaller movies, like direct to DVD, but he's in The Musketeer. He's in this movie. I mean, it just goes on and on. He was in Citizen X. I mean, truly just impressive the amount of film that he has been in. But I mean, nobody can forget his performance in Interview with the Vampire, because arguably he is a tough one to not hate. He's kind of amazing. The Dr. Stevens, which is the doctor that I liked, because I actually felt like he was like, yeah, I'm not going to go ahead and make a jump on her.
Yeah.
That is Dennis Boutsakarius. If I said that wrong, I apologize. He's been in a lot of things, but he is also a narrator of audiobooks, which he has won 13 Golden Earphone Awards, which is kind of the like Golden Globes of audiobooks. And he is better known for doing 15 episodes of Better Call Saul. He was also just recently in Mayfair Witches. He also, I mean, he's been in FBI, Bull, The Blacklist. When it comes to his horror credentials, he did a narration for Firestarter. I mean, literally the list goes on. He was in Born Legacy, which obviously is not a horror movie. But then he also was in Law and Order. He has done a lot of TV work. He was in the X-Files at one point in time. I mean, he's really just kind of run the gambit of everything. So there's just a lot of really impressive people when you sit back and you watch this.
It really is.
So um so I'll go ahead and get started into this while I pull up these random trivia facts that we are going to learn about this movie. But for you, what do you think is the hardest part of watching this movie? Because I know what it is for me.
I think when they find the little girl, her little girl in the water, and I think the ending.
Yeah, so the ending for me, honestly, I don't think is so hard for me because honestly, by that point, you kind of know, you kind of come to the conclusion like the only reason she pushed forward is because she felt like she owed her daughter enough to try to keep going for this other little girl that
Right.
was out there to save her. And in a way, you know that like her life would have never been the same
Yeah. I
after all
mean,
of
her
this.
daughter and her husband died, and ultimately, in as she's, I guess, teeter-tottering on crossing over or not, her daughter's under the water with her, and it's just like, "Come home, mommy." It just pulled at the heartstrings. You get why I mean, you just, yeah. And I mean,
Yeah,
when they found her daughter's body, her jumping in her husband's convertible and going off a bridge, like, I think any mother would want to do that. Because when she comes to finally, she's like, "Why?" Pretty much like, "Why did you save me?"
yeah, I see for me too, I feel like one of the hardest parts was when they pull her daughter out of the water, but it's her more specifically watching, knowing
Yeah.
almost in a sense that she knows that her daughter's in there. And then once they pull like they come towards her, you hear the music and you see that moment in her eyes where it's just like,
They really did very well with setting the tone for that.
oh, 1000%. And I think like you said, it's just such a like a deep connective tissue of like um that instantaneous moment because you understand her on such a deep level when she's walking away because ultimately like it shocks her system so fucking deeply that she just can't like she just immediately
Yeah,
goes into her most primal instinct, which is to just burn the world. And as mothers you kind of understand that
you get it.
because
Yeah, you get it.
um I think a harder part for me too is halfway through the movie when she does predict that her husband's going to die, the scene where you see him go and it's exactly like what she's saying and she's trying to rationalize. She's even like at one point when she's talking to the doctor, you could tell that she is so heavily medicated. She can barely stand, but she is
Yeah,
still punching through this because she's like, listen to me, my husband is going to die,
yeah,
and she's trying to so fervently tell them and they're just not listening to her. And it's just that's my tablet, sorry guys.
I was like, what?
My son messed with my tablet as I'm trying to find something to talk about this. But yeah, so for me, I do think her death is the hardest because it's so it's so deeply moving how that kind of happens, but
Yeah.
also too
You just
how,
wish it didn't have to be this way.
yeah, because it's like she lived her life with this like deep fear of this thing that she had, and it did ultimately take her life.
Yeah.
And it, you just kind of feel like, oh my gosh, like this walking sense. So it's hard, and I think the thing that we're going to talk about is definitely the trauma. So as we find out in this movie, Vivian, who is played ultimately by Robert Downey Jr., is uh basically a child of abuse and neglect. And essentially, the town that we saw that got flooded, his mother left him abandoned in that town while the water came in, and they found him. They put him in a mental institution and did absolutely horrific things to him, on top of already being deeply abused and neglected by his mother, which we see glimpses of. Um, and unfortunately, you do see how that then shapes his decisions to be such an awful human being. And, it's not a stereotype you do like to perpetrate, because I don't believe that because somebody gets abused and neglected that they will automatically become that way, because it is ultimately, I feel like it's a choice, but it is such kind of a duality, I think. And I would love to hear your opinion on that too. But they both have had such deep trauma. And we see Claire trying to push past it, trying to be a good mom, trying to be a good wife, trying to really be a good person and keep this in check, where Vivian has just kind of fully embraced the darkest parts of himself and really just doesn't care, and
Yeah.
kind of is like, this is how I was made. And we see the duality in each one of them, and how that kind of goes toe to toe when they see each other. But we see that especially in Vivian, where he's romanticized this relationship with Claire because of the fact that they're connected in their mind, and
Yeah.
how he wants her to fulfill this need inside of him. When she doesn't, he kills her, just like he kind of alludes to that's the reason he killed her daughter,
Yeah.
was because she doesn't listen. um but it is
You know,
very,
I think that this is a hard choice to it's a hard thing to teeter-totter with trauma. I remember when I was in college a couple years ago, um, talking about like just free will and trauma and why people do the things that they do.
truly.
I do think that there are some traumas for certain people that they do not recover from.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much medication, therapy,
Yeah.
different types of therapies. I think that some people are ruined for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
One
No.
trauma being the death of a child, sexual abuse,
Yeah.
things like that. But I do also believe we are not responsible for our traumas that happen to us, but we are responsible for what happens after and our actions after.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because you can make an argument that Vivian obviously is going to be profoundly forever affected by not only
yeah,
being
like
abused,
he's a product of his environment. He was, I mean,
abandoned to leave,
abandoned.
to
Yeah,
die.
in a town. Yeah, he was a child abandoned in a town they were submerging to build a reservoir. How terrifying is that for a child? I mean, for anybody.
And then to be taken out of the water, put in a mental institution, and to be
Yeah,
lobotomized, to have the electroshock therapy against your will and everything like that. You do see how profound that trauma is. But there
well,
is kind of the
it
way.
can like being like lobotomized and like the electric shock therapy, that definitely I probably played a part in his decision making skills and feelings and whatnot. Um, but we all have choices.
Yeah.
We don't.
No. And I think that's what I was saying is I think there could be an argument to be made that yes, he would be profoundly affected for the rest of his life, just like Claire. Even though she tried continually, she was her whole life trajectory was profoundly affected by the effect that these dreams had on her and the fact that she could see these things. However, the difference between both of them is Claire fought against her nature a lot. And even though she failed a lot of times, she never fully like let the darkness take over
Yeah.
her, where versus Vivian, he could have profoundly been affected by the trauma and been a bad person, but he uses it as an excuse to kill. He uses it as an excuse to take people out because that's how he feels. And it's the same way he justifies taking Claire's daughter and then doing what he does or killing her husband is because in his mind, because they're connected, Claire is his. And because of the fact that he is so profoundly affected the way he is, he becomes obsessive.
Well,
And
and trauma and mental health issues are not an excuse for shitty, toxic
no,
behavior. I especially taking a life, taking children's lives.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
care what the fuck happened to you. You don't do that. You don't do that.
yeah, no, and honestly, it is the whole idea that sometimes people do these things because they had their childhood destroyed, so they're trying
Yeah.
to re-destroy their childhood, like you know what I mean, destroy somebody else's like theirs was destroyed. So I do think it's a very interesting take. I will tell you the one whole thing from this movie that I take away: listen to your fucking people, okay? If Kylee comes to me and says, I'm having dreams about this crazy thing, and I fact check it, and she's at least 30 to 40% right about what she's saying, I'm about to call her on the phone, three-way her to the police department, and be like, listen, you need to listen to her because she's gonna find this person. She knows what she's talking about. Um and
Well,
she
listen, nobody ever wants to believe a woman,
no, they
especially
no,
when it comes to things in law enforcement. Nobody ever wants to believe or listen to a woman.
yeah, they don't. And part of the issue with it is
Cap. Why?
for her. I'm trying to think about how I'm going to say this very tiptoeing. Okay, I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm sorry, Andy Quinn, you're a great actor. Okay. Your husbanding skills in this, though, were far lacking, sir, because not only do you have the audacity to cheat, to, like technically cheat in the beginning, and have the audacity to have a fucking letter in your jacket that your daughter wears, and she's the reason why your wife finds out about it. But then it's like we were just talking, she had a crush on me, and then blames it on her like if my wife was actually present.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, bitch, nobody asked you to go and put your sloppy jalopy in somebody else because of this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like that's no excuse. And that is what is so frustrating because everybody in her life, except for the detective, who has very limited knowledge of her, believes the worst in her. And based on what? The fact that years and years and years she has been weaponized into thinking that she is crazy. And what's crazier about it is you find out in the beginning she was the one that told him like, hey, something's going to happen to your mom. and his mom died. His
You
mom
have
died.
tangible evidence that her dreams come true.
Yeah.
That's not enough for you?
Yeah. Especially when she's sitting there like, hey, you're going to die. And she's trying to tell you, like, and you committed her? Like, sir, I understand you fly airplanes, but I think we take our job a little too seriously. If you're more concerned about your job versus your wife, like your child died. Your wife is in shambles.
Right.
And
Like, why are you going back to work? Why are you
yeah,
leaving her? Why are you leaving her alone?
like
Like,
I understand
it
you
wasn't
have to
like you
pay.
got enough money. You were driving a convertible Mercedes Benz.
Sell your house. Like he even talks about, hey, I'm gonna have to sell this in order to get her a different doctor because I think they're fucking her up. Why wasn't that your option in the first place? What I'm trying to say about this, for all my men out here who need to listen to this, sometimes when you're sitting out here and you're talking about there being a male loneliness epidemic, men are getting treated properly, women are the ones that are expecting men to not be emotional, all this shit. Some of those things can be true sometimes, okay? Maybe not the male loneliness epidemic, because listen, none of you motherfuckers are going to make me think that that's a thing.
It's not
Truly.
a thing. It's not a
It's
thing.
not a thing.
Literally go on the internet and pay somebody to keep you company. Next.
Exactly. But I think it's time to do some deep reflection. If certain things keep popping up, you might be the problem. If you're using your wife having a truly profound episode of mental health after losing your daughter violently, and this is how you're reacting,
Yeah.
don't not expect people like me and Kylee to call you a fuck ass. Just saying that. Because I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry, but that was just like truly chode like behavior. If something happened to somebody that I cared about and I acted that way, I would be deeply disgusted. And there is a conversation in this that we do need to believe people when they're saying things, because he does go and talk to the police officer and say, hey, my wife, but does he truly believe that? I think I'm not placing this all on him, because let's be honest, Vivian, he has some fucking problems and he would have done his shit anyways. But maybe if you had listened more, even if you hadn't truly believed her, we might have been able to stop a few things. And I think that's the message behind this. And just because somebody is having something go on doesn't mean that gives you an excuse to go out and act that way. It's not. As somebody who's been in a relationship like that, that never works. Never works. And the moment you decenter your life from that idea and decenter this idea of like toxic roles, the happier your life is going to be, because your relationship is truly never going to be 50-50. There are going to be times where your relationship ebbs and flows.
Absolutely.
And that's the expectation. So that's my tangent for the day. But Aiden Quinn, I'll give you a pass on this one, but do better in the next character.
Yeah.
You're on notice. Yeah, you're on notice. So Kylee had a fact about Robert Downey Jr. before. But there are some facts in this movie. The number one being, Kylee, I don't know if you knew this, but this movie is based on a book.
Who wrote it?
So I am currently pulling it up right now. Of course, as my internet, but the book is Doll Eyes by Barry Wood. The book is very complete from what I've read, because I did not have time to read the whole book. from what I've read from the reviews, the book and the movie are vastly different.
Of course.
In the book, the character's name,
space
ES
space BARI space WOO.
as you hear my haunted.
What happens to your tablet?
Brady possessed it. That's what's going on right now, guys. I have a haunted speaking spell. This is what's happening. This is my life. Anyways, the woman's name is Eve in the book, and this is the brief description. So this is Doll Eyes by Barry Wood. Eve Klein was born with a gift she doesn't want. It drove her husband away and her mother to suicide. It forces her to see things, know things. In her mind, she can see the pain, the terror, the blood, and the eyes, cold and merciless, alive yet dead. Destiny has brought her to a remote and mountainous place with no avenue of escape, for the killer's glassy doll eyes are now focused solely on Eve, and he's now coming for her. So that sounds a little different.
That sounds a lot different. What are you talking about?
I mean, I was trying, people. I was trying. So, as Kylee said, unfortunately, Robert Downey Jr. did relapse into drugs during this, and he went through his period of turmoil. The mental institution films were actually filmed at a mental institution, an actual asylum, Northampton State Hospital, which was abandoned at the time. So that's not creepy.
That's not creepy or nothing.
What did you guys do? The underwater sequences were actually shot in the 20th century facility in Baja, Mexico, in the massive tank built for Titanic.
I did read that, and I thought that was really cool.
Which makes sense how they were able to do it, as because you have to think, like, if anyone's watched the behind the scene footage of Titanic, they do show how big those tanks were, and that does make sense that they would put that. So he built a section of town and flooded it. So they actually built a section of the town and actually shot flooding it. So that scene where the water comes in and stuff, that is actually happening, which is kind of insane.
That is. I wonder how much the budget and how much they made.
We're gonna find this out. And filming the scenes at Wentworth by the Sea Hotel, which is the hotel that Aidan Quinn's character dies in, the crew had to make the exterior landscape look like it hadn't been touched in many years. In actuality, though, the hotel itself was not being used. The groundskeeper kept the exterior landscape immaculate. So they actually had to, I've seen pictures of this, they had to rough up the way it looked on the outside so it looked abandoned, because even though the hotel wasn't being used at the time, it looked flawless. And so they had to go through a pretty extensive process of like making it look like it had been through some things. So this film was filmed in 1997, copyrighted in 1998, and then released in 1999. That is why you will see at different points in times that there are different dates, because it had different timelines. Co-writer Robinson criticized the film the year after its release, stating it was a complete utter mess from top to bottom. I thought Jennifer 8 was a low point, but Chris Almighty, this hit the floor and dug. That was a little... Wow. This is the second movie starring Robert Downey Jr. to have a Roy Orbison song play as the credits roll. Obviously, for this movie, it was In Dreams. The first was Life Fades Away for Less Than Zero. The cast includes 1 Oscar winner and 2 Oscar nominees. The Oscar winner being Robert Downey Jr., the 2 Oscar nominees being Annette Bening and Stephen Ray. So some of the goofs, the one and only goof that I found is in the first 6 minutes of the film, while Aiden Quinn and Annette Bening are at the doorway discussing her first dream about the missing girl, a black boom microphone can clearly be seen above them, following each of their dialogue from behind the door header. So I did actually go and look at this, like, and pause it. And if you do like zoom in, you can see that the boom is like above. So, yes.
That's come on.
It's a little
I
crazy.
don't need. It is like, I don't know. I feel like it was a great movie and something that little. I mean, maybe I'm just being too critical. I'm gonna shut up.
I don't know, for you, the house that they were living in reminded me a lot of the Practical Magic house. I was kind of like,
yes, I agree.
Are we in a same, like, I obviously it takes place in different landscapes.
It could be like the same universe.
Possibly. That'd be very interesting. So what are your takeaways from this movie? Always trust your friends and your loved ones.
Always trust your friends. Just listen to people. Listen to people when they're going through shit, but also don't let them be shitty to you because they're going through shit as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like Vivian.
Yeah. Yeah.
Husbands, listen to your wives.
Yeah. Period.
We're worth it. We're worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. We might be trying to save your lives. Like,
yeah.
If somebody had just listened to her and wrote down the hotel room number, like,
you know what? If he would have just stayed his ass fucking home and took some time off work, he would still be here. Period.
So, if you would like to watch this movie is currently streaming on Pluto. We are going to be covering some more intersections of crime, thriller, horror, action. You may see a pop-up from Silence of the Lambs, who knows? But we're definitely going to be having a little bit more fun with this genre, and we may be bringing on one of Kylie's family members to do so. So we're going to definitely stay tuned, and stick around for that. If I can speak tonight.
You can't talk tonight.
I cannot. I really cannot. So we're going to go ahead and move on from there. If this is your first time watching In Dreams and you had never heard of it before until this point, please drop us a comment in the video section of this video on YouTube or Spotify, because we are currently on Spotify podcast and Spotify video podcast. Again, I cannot talk, but drop us a comment or DM us and let us know what you thought about this, and if you would like any more recommendations, because this movie is a banger. But we are moving on to what was kind of our old segment, but just a retooling, and it's basically, what are our thoughts this week? And Kylie and I each have our own thoughts, but there is one collective thought that we have this week right now that I feel like we just kind of need to release the demons on tape a little bit. And that is the fact that I got Kylie into The Last of Us only to then have this weekend of Easter happen. And if you have not seen the new episode, please skip forward for the next 5 minutes with love.
I mean, how could you not? It's all over social media because people like to spoil shit.
Oh, Kylie and I had not gotten a chance to see it like when it came out right away. And I ended up seeing one of the massive spoilers, and I like voice noted Kylie right away, and it was like, avoid social media. This is turning into a fucking shit show. And I mean, we all kind of knew this was coming because The Last of Us is adapted from a video game. Joel Pedro Pascal's character does die in the video game. That is a big motivation behind Ellie and Abby's, tit for tat kind of thing. I did not expect it to be the way it was. And let me just say this, Pedro Pascal, you are a man. You are a gentleman. I love you. You went down like a fucking boss, man. The fact that you locked eyes with that bitch and said, just get the fuck over it. And she was like, I'm not gonna like make this easy on you. And you were like, okay, do it. Do it. I don't care. And literally just did not let Ellie see you like fall apart. Just kind of died with the great. You're a man, sir. You're a man. We love you.
Yes.
We also love the fact that you have unanimously gone out and supported your sister, your transgender sister, and that you have been wearing the beautiful shirt that says Protect the Dolls. You wore it on the red carpet recently. Love that. I also love the fact that you hardcore trolled J.K. Rowling today over.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. I think you're fucking amazing for doing that. Keep it up, sir.
Yeah.
We love you. We respect you. To everyone that is throwing hate to the actress that plays Abby, please don't. She is playing a character in mind. I understand she's playing it really well, and a lot of us are like, that was traumatic. But like, this woman also lost her mother 3 days.
She lost her mom 3 weeks before filming, and they were like, you know what? We will figure things out. You come back when you're ready. And she came back fairly soon and had to do something pretty difficult in the series.
And the fact that Pedro Pascal went out of his way to post a picture with the two of them to like show people like, I love her. Please don't send her any hate. I just have a lot of, listen, I know Pedro is the internet's crush, but like, he is for a reason. He is a good fucking person inside and out. He continues to prove that. And I think this is a good example. I will say I am looking forward to this in the fact that Ellie and Joel's brother are about to fuck some shit up. Fuck some shit up. Like, and let's talk about Joel's brother for a minute. Because Joel's brother, you are a fucking real one, man. That man was like, you are not going after my wife. And literally, like, went and did his big one. He was willing
he was prepared to be taken out the game by that behemoth zombie, mushroom zombie. He was prepared because that flamethrower quit just fucking, it wasn't doing shit. And he was prepared, ready, locked, and loaded to go down. But luckily he did it, because that's who I thought was going to die at first. So I'm like, oh, here we fucking go.
I really, for a second, thought both of them were going to go down. Because I really thought, but it makes sense that he would survive because of what Joel and him went through when all of this started and how he was there when Joel's daughter died.
Yeah.
I think that we are going to see this man come unglued. This man is going to detach from the person that he is right now, and he is going to go fuck shit up. And the only reason he is going to do that is because he feels a almost debt to Joel to keep Ellie protected, and he knows the only way he's going to stop Ellie is by joining Ellie. Which, by the way, the friend that Joel ended up saving in all of this, I hope you guys realize that this actress, who's absolutely fucking killing it, by the way, she also played Dora the Explorer in the Dora the Explorer movie. She's a fucking G.
Didn't know that.
Dude, I know useless things. So listen, if you need therapy after watching that, we get you. We understand. it was a lot. We're all gonna like collectively take a deep breath. We're gonna watch this next episode and watch Ellie lose her shit. But please don't fall off the train of watching this. I know it's hard, but like Bella Ramsey, let's face it, she's a fucking G, and she definitely deserves the spotlight. And let's face it, Pedro said this in the stuff afterwards, but this was their plan from the like they told him they were eventually going to kill him off. And it makes sense that they did it now because this man has already been in like 4 or 5 movies, like, or stuff going on just in the last 6 months. And he's still now filming an Avengers film, has Fantastic Four coming out, and there the balloons, but has more movies coming out. Like he has a A24 film coming out with Dakota Fanning and Chris Evans, but then also has another film coming out as well by I think it's Ari Aster. This man needs a break. So I think we just need to let it go. I understand. I'm not happy about it either, especially Joel was looking pretty hot there for almost 60. Okay? Just saying. Never thought I would say that, but him and Gerard Butler are in a class of their own. So I got to bring him back
literally today. You're two like celebrity huge crushes.
The funny part is
you cannot talk about one without talking about the other.
I can't. Yeah. But you know what the funny thing is if I met them in person, I would be the person that would not be sexualizing them. I'd be like, you know, I had a crush on you, but you're a really awesome fucking person. Like, I love this conversation we're having. Like, let's talk about this stuff. Like, I would be asking. Yeah, I wouldn't be asking any creepy questions. Although for Gerard Butler, I would just need to know, like, did you actually date Vitamin C after Dracula 2000? Because that was like a rumor, and I just want to know if that's true. Number one, number two, did the ceiling sex contribute? Just like I'm not trying to be in your business, but I just want to know, like, purely scientifically.
I think that's valid.
Scientific, like I feel like scientifically it's valid. So, Kylie, what is your thing this week?
Well, that was kind of my thing. I don't really have a whole lot of things this week.
You made a video this week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did. Because I watched A25 Forest Road a couple weeks ago. It is now one of my go-to comfort favorites in such a short time. I really wish people would lay off Stephen Cognetti right now. Because it's not found footage. And a lot of people are really upset that Hell House Lineage isn't going to be found footage. And it's just like, leave this man alone. Let him explore other creative things. Like,
let him
I hate how we just constantly have to put these people in a box. Artists, directors, actors, like, leave them alone. I loved it. Really? I thought it was great. I'm gonna preach the gospel about it. Like, but leave Stephen Cognetti alone. He's given us a great found footage film franchise that is not easy to do. It's not easy to do.
And he built it from the ground up. Let's face it. Yeah. Like he really
didn't immediately. Hell House did not immediately become super popular. Like, it became popular over time, and it's turned into this huge kind of a big deal now.
Yeah, I feel like we just need to let him go. I feel like we're seeing a lot of this because of different creative choices. I know people are picking apart Final Destination right now. We just had I Know What You Did Last Summer, the Legacy sequel trailer come out. I know there are a lot of opinions about different things. The Predators, Badlands one just came out. I know people are upset about that.
This is a funny thing. I was reading that the director of I Know What You Did Last Summer was begging Sarah Michelle Gellar to come back.
Yeah,
Okay?
she did.
You want to know what Sarah said? Hold on. I took a screenshot of it and I forgot to send it to you. Just 1 second.
Oh, I
Sorry,
know what
guys.
she said. She's like, she's dead. She is dead.
Yeah, she's like,
We saw
I'm
her-
dead. She's like, but I guess like, yeah, but what if she said, I am dead. I am Sarah Dead Gellar. And I just laughed.
I do. Okay, so we know that I feel like her character kind of got the worst of it. I did see somebody agree with me on it, and I think they brought up a really good point. We briefly see Helen's interactions with her family. Okay, her sister is an asshole to her. Her father forgets her. She has to do certain things. We forget that her boyfriend, played by Ryan Phillippe in the beginning, he's basically telling her she's an ugly piece of shit, even though she's a beauty queen, and he's an abusive piece of crap. And we forget that when we see her before all of this happens, when she reunites with Julie, her life is not in a good place. So while I think she does come across a certain way, I do think there's a reason for that, because the whole point is we're supposed to see that her life was forever changed by this incident. I do think had she lived, her and Julie probably would have been on a deeper level, because you do see that then with Julie and Brandy's character and the second movie. So I would have liked to see her come back, but listen, she's Sarah Michelle fucking Gellar. She is booked and busy. They're trying to bring back Buffy right now, okay? And listen, objectively, I know what you did last summer and I liked her in it, but objectively, I would like you to just focus on Buffy, okay? We need Buffy. Buffy needs to come back. The world needs Buffy right now, okay? Like, if anybody could fix the shit that we're in right now, it's Buffy Summers, and we need her back, okay? So I'm more concerned about that. Plus, she's off doing crazy amazing stuff on Dexter. I
Yeah.
co-sign that. So, and she's doing a lot of different horror stuff. And listen, I'm still holding out for her in Scooby-Doo coming back. So we
Gonna
got
pray about it.
we'll leave the books open. At least at minimum, somebody suggested that she should be the next one to come in to Five Nights at Freddy's. Now that Skeet Ulrich is going to be in the second one with Matthew Lillard, they were saying she
That'd be
needs to be in the third one. So I would dig it. I think she would do great. So I love Sarah Michelle Gellar. And listen, Sarah Michelle Gellar, she's been through a bit. We got to remember, Shannon Doherty was one of her really good friends. And watching Shannon go through that was probably a lot. And I just recently saw a post where they had celebrated Shannon's birthday without her, and how hard that must have been. So, speaking of things that people need to calm down about, listen, I rightfully so. I know we have a little Blumhouse burnout because there have been some arguably horrible movies that have come out. This is my thing that I'm going to talk about this week. I feel like people have slept on this show. To be honest, I understand why, because they kind of marketed it in a weird way. But The Bondsman with Kevin Bacon, it fucking slaps so far. I'm in episode 3, and listen, that's just pretty cool. Like, I understand it kind of sounds like a Supernatural kind of ripoff because it's Kevin Bacon being a Bale's bondsman for the devil, but it's really got its own flavor to it, and it's got some solid gore, some solid things that I just think it's good. It's good, and
I think people need to quit expecting complete perfection with every horror project that comes out of everything.
Yeah, well, and listen, I understand certain ones because, like, the Wolfman, I saw parts of it. It is on Peacock. I might try to sit through all of it just because, but to follow that up from Invisible Man, that was kind of a letdown. I've heard people say that Woman in the Yard was absolutely horrible. I've heard people's valid complaints about it, and I've heard people say, "Hey, there were good like one or two things in it, but it was kind of like they took this short film and tried to make something out of it, and it didn't happen." So, other than that, I think horror has had a good year. Sinners is doing great right now. I'm so excited for that. I'm probably going to take myself to the movies one day, in the next week or two to see it, because I've heard people say that it's one of those movies that you just watch. And listen, I love Ryan Coogler. I've loved him since Black Panther. I think what he does with film is great. Michael B. Jordan, I've never seen a movie in it where I've thought, that movie sucked. I think he does great regardless. And the fact that he's playing two separate characters and two separate arcs that are twins, and the theming and everything behind it, I'm really fucking excited. I will update this. Britt, when she was on, talked about Him, which was
I'm really looking forward to that.
The trailer has come out for that since then, and it is fucking insane. I am so excited for that. I hope Marlon Wayans gets his flowers for this, because this looks like a very different role for him, and I am excited.
Yeah.
So I think, listen, there have been some duds, but so far this year has kind of been a good year, and we're about to get a May. We're really going to get fed, because we got Final Destination, Bloodlines. We have Clown in a Cornfield. We have all these cool different projects that are coming out. Summertime looks great. The Alien TV show is coming out. The Predator Badlands movie, which I did not realize when watching the trailer last night, but apparently the same, if you haven't watched Alien Romulus, skip this part. But the same Wayland robot that was the brother in Alien Romulus is supposed to be Elle Fanning's character is supposed to be one of those robots, and it's supposed to tie certain things together, which means that our dream of maybe getting another Alien versus Predator movie
might come true,
or at least link the universes together again. And so we have a lot that's coming out right now that's really fucking cool, really inventive. So I think all of us as horror fans, listen, objectively, if a movie is a hot pile of shit and they didn't try it at all, 100% talk your talk. But let's have a hot, cool summer and let this live. So let's lay off Steve Cognetti. Let's let these movies cook. Wait until we see them to pass some judgment. And let's just have a rockin' fucking horror summer. Like, Kylee and I are about to be together in person soon. And, like, you're not going to be able to tell us shit.
No.
You really aren't.
Nope.
Once we link up again and see each other for a week, we'll be good for, like, another 6 months.
Yep.
So, it's about to be a good time. So let's just enjoy summer. Let's dust off, the blues, and let's just fucking kill this shit. It's gonna be a hot, cool horror summer. We're gonna get fed with a lot of good movies. So let's sit back, relax, enjoy it. And as always, me and Kylee are going to be your go-to ghouls for a hot ghoul summer. So we have some really cool ideas, cool things percolating in the atmosphere. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride with us, because you're about to have a fun time. So with that being said, it's me, Cass, and
Kylee.
And we are the Horrorcraft Podcast. We say bye and
bye
and stay spooky. Bye.